Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new Let's Play series in Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich. Today, we're going to be playing as Serbia. We're going to be playing as Socialist Serbia today. So we are, we're starting out very small. We will get much larger and we'll hopefully become like a very strong power in the Balkans. We have 4 divisions to begin with right now, and I know 4 divisions doesn't sound like a lot, because it's not. It's not a lot of units. But we're going to get our units ready to go for a war against Bulgaria here. We stood out off with 6 factories. We are a 204, which is pretty bad. We'll probably go like 1 civilian right now in Belgrade and kind of call it a day there. 3 research slots. We're going to go with all of our basics, research speed, as well as our 2 beginning technologies here on our construction. We will get our Army Navy experience. How many trains have we got? 3. I will definitely trade 5% stability for 3 trains, especially since we do begin with 50% stability. That's absolutely a-okay. So yes, we will trade those away. Shut this down. So we do got the conspiracy. I did try to record this video a little bit earlier, so I've kind of already gone through all this in my head. So we have 2 ways to pay for all of these. We either pay with more national populist support, or by paying, the associated political power, command experience, whatever you need to do. We are starting off at 11%, which puts us over in level 2 of the conspiracy control, which is 10 to 15%. So we could take a 4% penalty, get us up to 15. We will still be in stage 2, and that's kind of like, I think, the highest we want to get to. If you become national populist as Serbia, that's basically like the fail state, as far as I'm aware. Especially when you go to form Yugoslavia, it's just really bad for you. You got our national spirits. We're not allowed to train, edit, or do anything with any single unit. Fantastic. 10% cheaper guns is pretty nice. Less recruitable population and less war support, pretty bad. And we got the conspiracy, which is negative 11% political power, which I'm assuming is based on this number right here. But if we want to, I think Serb's propaganda, it affects Scar Nation. So we get 5% more recruitable population, 5% more war support, or 4% more national populism gain. We can afford that. It'll put us at exactly the top of level 2, but we can afford level 2. So we're going to take that right now. Right now, the Republican Socialists are going to be coming into a coalition government. The election is in October. We'll definitely have enough time to make sure the Socialist Workers' Party, which is the party that can actually form Socialist Yugoslavia, we'll have enough time to get them in charge here. Don't worry about that. I played basically up to like 37 before like my file got corrupted and I had to restart all over again, which is always a lot of fun. So we're missing 3 steel. Honestly, that's not so bad. I say that like we're not fucking building anything, man. How bad is the penalty on this? It's a 10% penalty. I mean, it's not so bad. It's not great, but we have like no civilian factories. You take until June of 37 to build, and we kind of need as many guns as we can possibly get. Let's trade with France. I think that seems reasonable, and let us begin. The Serbian Republic. We will be skipping over some of these events. I'm not going to be reading all of them. Some of them are less important than others. So the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand by Grelo Princip, a Bosnian Serb nationalist, was the catalyst which caused the beginning of the Weltkrieg. The Serbian forces fought valiantly and earned the world's respect by stalling the Central Powers' advance for months. By late 1915, the entirety of the country ended up occupied. Divided into Austro-Hungarian and Bulgarian occupation zones, Serbia was exploited and burned, its adversaries seeking to enact revenge upon what they saw as a barbaric regime. This only emboldened resistance in the territory, however, and things on both sides of the front changed in 1918. Austro-Hungary, pressured by its German allies, finally began peace talks, while the Serbian resistance in Corfu, seeing the pitiful state of the Entente, came to the conclusion that even a bitter peace is better than annexation. King Peter abdicated, and his son took the throne as Alexander II, who signed the punitive Treaty of Overhaul in 1919. It restored a rump Serbia, an Austro-Hungarian occupation zone, forever tied to the Austrian sphere of influence. An emboldened socialist movement in Belgrade, inspired by the Russian and French revolutions and the opposition to the People's Radical Party, got Alexander II to respond harshly. Political life was suspended, the socialist movement banned, and a royal dictatorship ushered in to maintain order in the defeated nation. This act only inflamed tensions in the country by the end, and it boiled over to a revolution in 1925. The military, organized into the Conspiracy Secret Society, made an act of defiance against their king and orchestrated an assassination of Alexander II on December 3rd, which led to the royal dictatorship to its collapse. Prime Minister Vojislav Vidakovic surrendered to the opposition, which proclaimed a Serbian republic. After a brief diplomatic standoff, the provisional government in Ljudimir Stanovic recognized the Treaty of Warsaw, and Vienna recognized the Republican government in turn. Today, Serbia stands as a burning symbol of democracy in the Balkans, at least on the surface. In truth, however, while the government may proclaim heartwarming goals like peace, welfare, and prosperity, nothing in the Serbian government happens without the approval of the conspiracy. I know that's probably not... I don't think it's actually... I think it's for conspiracy, right? It's fine. This military secret society, deliberately styled after the Black Hand, seeks one thing and one thing only: the liberation of all Serbs outside of the Republic's borders. Again, in the shadows, another conspiracy lurks as well: the White Hand, led by Peter Zivkovic, which waits for a chance to overthrow the Republican ultimatum and restore the underage son of Alexander II. As 1936 begins, Serbia is still nominally a client state of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but this grip grows looser by the second, and once it finally falls, all of Serbia's enemies may tremble. Fantastic. We can now begin the campaign in earnest. And again, we don't want... we want to make sure the conspiracy is as low support as we can possibly get them to be at. This will come into importance a little bit later here. Okay, the Serbian election of 36. This term of the second president of the Serbian Republic, Dragomir Vasic, is coming to a close. And on the 5th of October, a new election will be held in the Serbian parliament. According to the Constitution of 1926, the parliament is a unicameral legislative elected by all male and female citizens of the Serbian Republic in free, universal, and secret ballots for a 5-year term. The government structure of Serbia is semi-presidential. The president is elected by the legislature, much like the prime minister, but has considerable power in domestic policy and the appointment of public officials, alongside the usual duties of representing the state in foreign affairs. While the prime minister is dependent on the backing of the parliament, the president serves a predetermined 5-year term no matter what takes place in the legislature. That is not to say that he is all powerful, however, as he needs parliamentary support for pretty much all of his appointments and legislation. The electoral campaign of Serbia began late last year and continues into 36. As the world veers closer to war, so do the Balkans. The force which wins this election may get to decide the fate of the country for ages to come. We need to basically make sure that the Socialist Workers' Party is going to become the plurality holder when the election of October happens. It shouldn't be an issue for us, but that's kind of the end goal where we're going to be at. Okay, fantastic. Also, I want to turn all of you off because I don't want to get notifications for these right now. We can come back to this later. It's fine. The resistance in Nice, which is over in Bulgaria, I don't think that matters in any way, shape, or form. You're like 2,500 manpower. That's nice and all, but it's not that important. Same with like the 750 guns. I'll be honest. Really, I don't think it's going to make a big difference. Shots in the dark. The news report is still flying in, and the story is still being pieced back together, but this is what is known. Major Zivan Kenevic, an induct into the Conspiracy Secret Society, an officer of the Serbian army, was making his way home in Belgrade alongside a fellow soldier. But the two of them realized that they were being followed. Not wishing to take the risk, the two men hastened their pace, hoping to either come across civilians to use as cover or phone booths to call the police, but neither came. Instead, the mysterious figure opened fire, seriously wounding Kenevic and killing his peer. Wounded, the officer was dragged out of sight, so was the corpse behind him. It took the police 2 days to be informed about the officer's disappearance. The search across Belgrade was immediately initiated. Kenevic was found, but by then, it was already too late, as he had long since dead. Police officers found his corpse in the outskirts of the city and was left with a message. Thus, unto all enemies of God, the King and the White Hand. Well, national populism goes down a little bit, and again, that's what we want to see. The conspiracy in the Serbian Culture Club. We want them to... They can't have power. They can't coup the government. Right? Fingers crossed on that one. So we're going to get Road Credit Bank. Following that, we'll probably go for... I mean, recruit population factor could be nice. I think you are an industry bonus. You know what? Let's go immunization and literacy first. I think that seems quite nice. And that'll lead us into... Once it's open, thank you. The Second Russian Civil War. Now that's something that we can definitely get behind. Fantastic. A+. We can go straight into farming subsidies. Get some opium farms. And we'll get a lovely civilian factory bonus off that. We got the Russian Socialist Republic. Finland's even getting aboard this as well. That's really nice. Because again, Russia and France will be like allies in a more solid sense. As opposed to, say, the Russian Republic and the International, which they're allies by proxy, like a realpolitik situation. This is like we'll both be in the International and we'll both be having a fantastic time. Okay, so Black Monday has hit Serbia. Serbia was devastated by the Weltkrieg more than any other nation. It lost a quarter of its population and the entire nation was left plundered. Half it was annexed by Bulgaria, while the rest had accepted massive concessions to the Austrian Empire. And yet, despite it all, Serbia endured, slowly rebuilding a stable, if weakened economy based around agricultural productivity and free trade. The reforms of King Alexander II's Prime Minister, Vojislav Velkovic, were not undone by the Republican government until the stable Serbian dinar he fought for remained throughout the 1930s. The collapse of the Berlin stock market was undone most of the work. So Serbia is not as tied to the German economy as many other countries in the region. The collapse of worldwide trade has tanked our agricultural exports and left much of the economy in a void. The package of response measures and reforms are already being prepared, but the populace hit straight in the pocket, no longer trust the Republican Party. After all, they should have prevented this. So we're going to get a bonus, or a mission to respond to Black Monday. We do not want this to happen. We want this to fail, because we want the socialist workers to gain support. We want them to become very, very powerful. Well, we can respond to Black Monday after the Republicans have failed to enact on it right away. We'll be A-okay on this. Because, I mean, these are nice. Like, don't get me wrong. We get stability, factory output, construction speed. All of those are nice things. But we can't do it quite yet. We need Republicans to fumble the bag, so to speak. Okay. The Naval speech. Right wing of the Serbian political spectrum, beyond the People's Radical Party and the Agrarians, is mainly composed of monarchists, and among them, two movements are the most notable. The State Party of Serbian Democrats was the sole legal party of Alexander II's rule dictatorship, and lingers on as a small moderate monarchist party, concentrated in a few constituencies where they are the strongest. And, as they are too insignificant to threaten Republican order, were allowed to remain after the revolution. The second party is formed after the revolution for a new generation of monarchists, named Awakening. And its leader, Dmitry Lotic, has been slowly making a name for himself. Speaking before the parliament, Lucic addresses what he perceives as the key issues of the Serbian Republic, the death of God in a nation overtaken by lust and contempt, and a daily endless crushing of souls by the sledgehammer of capitalism, which the past governments have enabled with their policies. The politician's esoteric ways of speaking convinced few and made him a few allies in the legislature, but with his characteristic and so-called Mita Bogomalik, the devotionalist Mita, even back when he was an official in the King Alexander's royal dictatorship and a deputy from Smederevo, Lucic was unnerving to his peers. He declared his service to the Kaiserreich to be a divine providence, but the serving people to be of God's chosen mission to the world, and his orthodox faith was beyond even the fanatical. Leading the far-right extremist Nationalist Royal Party, Lucic is a minnow on the political stage, and so has been allowed to remain for now. But who knows where he might end up if circumstances were to change. Well, I'm going to tell you that we should be fine. Yeah, this is a bit too much. We have like 3 major events. I'm going to let you know right now, we're going to read these events, and that'll probably be the conclusion of this episode. So if you don't want to know about these events, you can probably just end it here. Thanks for watching. So, revenge. Once again, law enforcement of the Republic has been mobilized after reports of a committed high-profile murder. And this time, it took only a few hours for the officers in Krodovic were met with a horrifying sight in the port district of the city. Several officers from the Serbian army, relieved a few years ago because of suspicions that they belonged to the White Hand, were stabbed and hanged by their feet publicly. A few children playing football around the block explained that some strange-looking men hanged them not too long ago. Only the dimmest failed to realize who was behind these murders. Not only was Major Zivan Konovic a respected member of the Serbian Culture Club, a secret organization behind it, but he was also the brother of Rajay Konovic, commander of the Serbian Air Force. a leading member of the Republican Party and the conspiracy. While the military is understandably silent about the events, and Konovic immediately expressed his solemn grief at his brother's death, it's almost certain that these assassinations were made as an act of righteous revenge. And again, much like as everybody expected, the police closed the case after a few days, stating that the investigation will pause for the time being, as no possible suspect has been found. Let me lose that stability. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Montenegrin Federalist gains in local elections. Several months prior to the parliamentary elections in the Serbian Republic, local elections for mayors and district councils have been held in Montenegro, and the Montenegrin Federalist Party has acquired an impressive victory. The majority of the mayors, district councils, and other notable elected positions in Montenegro are now held by their members. In addition, the CFS also plans to contest the Montenegrin seats in parliamentary elections, and both of its leaders, Skevet Drovic and Naval Rodovic, are standing in for the parliament. The CFS has moderated success for the Montenegro Greens, a guerrilla movement loyal to the House of Petrovic Nogos, which operated in Montenegro during the 1920s. When the unification of Serbia and Montenegro into a puppet kingdom under the Kodakovics was proclaimed by the Central Powers, these guerrillas organized in the mountain region that remained active until the Republican Revolution. While radical members of the movement continued to struggle, as they could hardly expect to the restoration of the House of Petronovics, even in a Montenegrin federal unit inside of Serbia, moderates and Montenegrin politicians led by Drovic and Rodovic sought to negotiate. President Jasa Prodovic granted them amnesty and signed several concessions for Montenegrins into law, such as increased local autonomy and recognition of the Montenegrin language. Now that 36 rolls around, the CFS remains a powerful force in Montenegro, and their deputies in the parliament may prove crucial for swinging the election, depending on who they choose to work with. Of course, they will be working with the socialists. Is that it's not enough for us to get enough support here, but we'll get there soon. Our men in Sofia. Eyeing Bulgaria like a hawk stalking prey, we see that our neighbor is entering a period of political strife. Years of resentment towards the authoritarian regime of Tsar Ferdinand, his son Crown Prince Boris, and their lackeys are finally exploding, as a considerable faction within the Bulgarian parliament is now openly campaigning for the restoration of full constitutionalism and the abolishment of the State Protection Act. While our only interest in Bulgaria is the destruction of this hated hegemon, we in fact have our men in Sofia. The Bulgarian Agrarian National Union is the radical Republican faction, the BZNS, an agrarian political party that has shattered the Bulgarian government for their opposition to the war and still struggles to pick up the pieces. It is led by Alexander himself, a man who has no illusion of ever working within the royal regime, again, and a rare Bulgarian politician who proudly calls himself a Yugoslav. The authorities in Bulgaria still believe that he is hiding somewhere in Sofia, when in reality, he is safe in Serbia, from where he is able to command his faction of the BZNS. He still keeps his contacts in parliamentary faction, the BZNS, able to exchange information and sway a few of them to support the abolition of the State Protection Act, which, as Slovakia assures, will be the first step towards an agrarian takeover in Bulgaria, which will be able to work with Serbia in peace. Should we support this gamble, or instead back more reliable options, such as the Chetnik resistance in Nis? We will definitely, this kind of sucks. I don't care about resistance in Nis. It doesn't do anything for us. We will, make Bulgaria soft is our interest. Fantastic. And with that all done, it's going to be a great time for us to end off for today. So thanks for watching, have a great day, and goodbye.